Boker Tov, good morning everybody. Dear friends of Israel, it is truly fantastic to be here with you today again. Yehuda Halevi, one of our great rabbis and poets, famously wrote, Libi b'mizrach ve'anochi besof ma'arav. My heart is in the east, but I am at the edge of the west. Yehuda Halevi lived in the 12th century and spent most of his life in Spain. However, he longed for the land of Israel. We too are here in New York, in one of the most prominent cities of the West, yet our hearts are in Jerusalem. Today, we are fortunate to be able to live in, to travel, and to explore the land of Israel. After almost 2,000 years of exile, the Jewish people have returned home and established a third commonwealth, just as our prophets foretold. We are living in historic times. But these are also difficult and challenging times. For almost a year, Israel has been engaged in a multi-front war with Iran. The war in Gaza is merely one of the battlefield of that larger conflict. Iran funds, trains, and supplies its various proxies in the Middle East with deadly weapons. And it is the number one perpetrator of chaos, bloodshed, and instability in the region. The Iranian regime has pledged to eradicate Israel. The leadership of the Islamic Republic of Iran refuses to accept the existence of the Jewish state. They deny the special connection between God and the Jewish people and the Jewish homeland. They deny the biblical truths and are totally committed to combating the values so important to all of us. It is why they hate Israel, and it is why they hate America. In Israel, we recognize Iran for what it is and are aware of the enormous threat this evil regime poses. However, some around the world are still not convinced. Some Western governments view the Middle Eastern reality only through the prism of Western economics. Rather than recognizing the historical, cultural, and biblical underpinning of this conflict, they think that if they would pay the bully, he'll leave you alone. You and I, though, we understand this conflict. We understand who's right and who's wrong, who's a force for good, and who's a force for evil. Unfortunately, this statement hasn't always been shared by U.S. administrations. But we are hopeful that after the elections here in November, the White House will stand up for Iran's aggressions. That the White House will battle Iran rather than caving to every demand. We hope that our allies here will support Israel rather than condemn it. We hope that the next president will give Israel the full backing that we need and deserve. Because Israel is on the front line of our shared civilization. Israel is fighting the forces of barbarism and protecting our Judeo-Christian values. As Prime Minister Netanyahu said in his speech to Congress, our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight. And our victory will be your victory. Yesterday, I went with my wife Tamar to the 9/11 Memorial. And I thought to myself that for us, the massacre of October 7th by Hamas, compared to our population size, That's like 29 11s in one day. Just try to imagine that. 29 11s in one day. They raped our women, slaughtered families, and kidnapped over 250 men, women, children, and young and old. They turned our day of festival into a day of rage and blood. They turned our day of happiness into a day of pain and despair. They turned our day of holiness into a day of desecration. But although we were caught unprepared, the people of Israel, and especially our security forces, have demonstrated incredible courage and bravery, resilience and creativity, spirit and determination. As it says in the book of Numbers, "Behold, a people rises up like a lioness and lifts itself up like a lion. He will not lay down until he devours the prey and drinks the blood of the slain." Just a few days ago, the IDF published a video from inside the tunnel, 66 feet below ground, where 6 Israeli hostages were murdered by Hamas terrorists. The video was harrowing and shocked everybody with a conscience. This was the tunnel where Hirsch Goldberg Polin, Eden Yerushalmi, Ori Danino, Alex Lubanov, Carmel Gat, and Almog Sarusi were executed. Their bloodstains could have been seen on the sand inside the tunnel. The tunnel was built under child's bedroom, deliberately using children as human shields. The conditions inside the tunnel were inhumane, cramped, hot, humid, no beds, no private spaces, no toilets, very little food or drinks. You couldn't even stand up in the tunnel. It was around 5.5 feet high and only 32 inches wide. You know, I thought to myself, when I came here on the flight, I was standing at the airplane. You know, after the plane docks, when you have to stand and you can barely touch with your head at the roof of the plane, I thought to myself how it makes me suffer, makes me angry. I want to get off the plane already. They've been there in that condition for 11 months. 11 months, can you imagine that? Before being murdered in cold blood. This is the Islamo-Nazi evil we're up against. This is the evil we must defeat. Last month, the IDF Special Forces rescued 52-year-old Farhan al-Qaidi from a tunnel in Rafah in a mind-blowing operation. Farhan is a Muslim Arab, but not one of the 50 Muslim countries managed to release him. It was the state of Israel and its brave warriors who saved Farhan's lives. Israel has gone through extraordinary length to release the hostages, not only because it's our duty, but because of a deep moral commitment to dignity, freedom, and life. This is what Israel stands for. This is what our enemies seek to destroy. Ladies and gentlemen, this war is tough and extract huge prices. But I come here from Jerusalem with a message of hope and optimism, of faith and strength. Israel is the land promised to the Jewish people by God, and as it says in the beginning of this week Torah portion, והיה כי תבוא אל הארץ אשר השם אלוקיך נותן לך נחלה וירשת וישבת בה. And it shall be, when you come into the land which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance, and you possess it and settle in it. There are 50 Muslim majority countries in the world. There are 157 Christian countries. In the Middle East alone and North Africa, there are over 320 million Muslims, but only 7 million Jews. All we want, need, and deserve is one Jewish state. This is the premise of Ambassador David Friedman's plan for the region, one Jewish state. Instead of promoting the same old failed plans of Oslo or the two states illusion, we must recognize that there can only be a Jewish sovereignty between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. Then we can move towards a better future for everyone. And to those who don't accept any form of Jewish sovereignty in our ancestral homeland, to those who fight us and continue their ways of violence and evil, we have no choice but to fight back. To fight back and to win. I want to thank you all for your warmth, for standing with Israel, for your incredible support for the one and only Jewish state. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless Israel. May God bless the United States of America. Leshana haba'a b'Yerushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ohad. Thank you. Wonderful. Knesset Member Ohad Tal, thank you. Toda rabah.